I had never camped before in my life. That's what I told him when he said he wanted to go camping. He planned the whole thing: the route, the stops, the campsites, the parks. And I invented a rule very quickly: 2 nights camping, and then I needed a hotel with a hot shower. That was the deal. Good morning, day 28 of Turquoise Rising. He was someone that I met in college. He played lacrosse with my brother. He was really smart and funny, kind, full of wonder, and had this easiness about him that I never really encountered before. Just had a way of moving through the world that made things feel possible and low stakes at the same time. For someone whose baseline was chaos disguised as competence, always scanning, always 3 steps ahead, being around someone who was simply at ease was something I never knew I was missing until I felt it. He said his cousin was out in LA and we should go. He handed me an itinerary and I said, okay. He'd had his PADI certification for years and had dove around the world. So that summer on Long Island before the trip, my brother and I went and got certified together, open water diving. And that was the beginning of understanding what was coming. That this was not going to be a trip like I had ever been on before. We flew out to Hermosa Beach and Manhattan Beach. A whole beautiful other world, rollerblading everywhere, the light, the people, the ocean. Then we borrowed a car and headed north on PCH. Pacific Coast Highway. That drive, the first time you see it, is so special. The roads are rolling. There's hills, and you pull over everywhere because you just have to stop and take it in. Stunning around every single turn. Camping on the side of PCH at Morro Bay with the Pacific Ocean right there, the seals, the otters, the wildlife, and the sense of freedom and wonder that I had never felt quite like that before. That was when I began to understand how extraordinary this country really is. I really didn't know. I grew up in New York. It was also new to me, the culture, the beauty, the sights. We swam through the kelp beds at Hermosa Beach, had our certifications, and we were snorkeling in wetsuits because the Pacific is absolutely freezing. And the kelp beds are massive, like enormous. And it's dark in there. And you can't see very far, and you're going through, and there are seals everywhere. Very curious and playful, swimming up to us. And here's the thing about where there are seals, there are sharks. And specifically in that area, great whites. And they're looking for seals. So it was dark, and it was freezing. And it was exactly what I needed and wanted, and I knew what was in the water anyway. But I had come too far to not do it and experience it. Then we went up to San Francisco. We unpacked the whole car, reorganized, spent a couple of nights, and then continued north past the city up to the Redwood National Park, Napa Valley. Standing in those redwoods for the first time, there's nothing that prepares you for how enormous they are, how ancient, how completely quiet it can be underneath them. And Napa for the first time, a different kind of beauty. Rolling hills and vineyards and the golden light in the late afternoon. Then we headed back south and east towards Vegas, making stops all along the way. I was learning to eat new foods, to try new things, and slow down inside a place instead of just passing through it. He showed me that the country was not something you just flew over. It was something you drove into and stopped inside of and let change you. And then somewhere outside Yosemite, near Mammoth, the car broke down. Middle of nowhere, everything's packed, nowhere to go. He went to find help, and I stayed with the car. At some point, standing there, a bee flew into my shirt and stung me. I was standing on the side of a California highway with a broken down car and a bee sting, wondering what the heck had I got myself into. We found a small town and a hotel, and we waited while the car was fixed, which led us to skiing Mammoth on July 4th. The mountain was half open, slushy by afternoon, absolutely incredible. I didn't even know you could ski in July. I had never known most of this was even possible. And that's what kept this whole trip expanding what I understood to be possible. At Mammoth, we got there early to make the most of the good snow. By the afternoon, it was really slushy and probably a little unsafe, but for hours, it was so much fun. Made absolute lemonade out of lemons. And we went to Death Valley at midnight. It was 100 degrees at midnight, and we camped there. I was petrified in the absolute most thrilling way. Sidewinders in the dark, road runners. I stomped everywhere I walked, making sure every creature in that desert knew I was coming. I used a flashlight and I moved like I was announcing myself to the entire Mojave Desert. I did not, fortunately, see a single sidewinder, and I was really, really, really happy about that. But I was so glad that I did it and I experienced it and slept on the hard desert ground. He's the reason, too, I moved to Colorado, and I followed him there after college, and it was 8 years of the freest version of my life. Without that trip, without him saying his cousin had a place in LA, let's go. And I almost didn't go. I don't know that Colorado would have happened. I don't know that the mountains happen, or Vail, or the wildflowers, skiing, or any of it. It was that easiness about him that changed the way that I understood the world. Not just the places in it, but the pace of it. The permission to pull over and stare. The permission to stay. The permission to not know what was coming next and find that thrilling instead of terrifying. I could not have bought that in a store. I could not have planned it at all. And I'm forever grateful. This is day 28, 90 days, live and unfiltered. If you're in your own reinvention, come and walk with Rico and I. Subscribe below and rise out loud.